Welcome to Rock Your Best Vocals, where your best keeps getting better. My name is Jim Chandler, and today I have a really important video to share with you. I've got 3 simple tips to eliminate nervousness and start getting more confidence in your voice, okay? So if you're like most singers, at some stage during your career, you're going to suffer with a lack of confidence. And the 3 tips that I'm about to give you are going to help you to start getting more confidence in your voice, okay? So stick around to the end because of a very special bonus if you guys stick around to the end, okay? So here we go. So let's just set the stage here for a second. You're about to go on stage either for your first time or you're playing at like a next level venue, okay? So as I'm starting to say this, you could probably start to feel yourself even get that cringy feeling, maybe where your mouth starts to go dry and you can feel your palms sweat, and you could just think about looking out of the crowd and you're starting to feel kind of that the nerves come up, okay? What's most important to understand about confidence is that it is a process. So if you stick around to the very end, I'm going to go through that. So you're going to want to stick and listen through the whole thing for it to make sense, because all of this that I'm about to share with you is something that I put into practice when I had to open up for Cher in late 2019. The backstage pass that we got, so I'd share that with you. All right, so step 1 is we have to understand the origin. Where does it come from? You have to gain a certain amount of competence, okay? The reason why I say that competence comes before confidence is because I'm going to give you the example of riding a bicycle, okay? So if you know how to ride a bike, you can remember back to when you first started to learn to ride a bike. Okay, you didn't have confidence that you could actually ride that bike. So you got on the bike and you weren't confident that you could ride the bike because you didn't have the competence, right? Where did that competence come from? That competence comes from practice. As I said, later on, I'm going to get into all of the steps that you need. That's going to be the bonus at the very end, but don't skip to the very end because the next 2 are very important. So there is a process, but it doesn't just come out of thin air. Confidence comes from competence. Okay, so step 2 is kind of twofold, okay? And it's the preparation for the performance that you're going to do, okay? So the first part, let's address the first part, is the performance that you're going to do. What are you going to perform? It's either a specific set of songs, it's going to be a play or whatever you're going to do. That's the preparation of the specific songs or whatever that you're going to sing. The other part of the preparation is what's called a mental rehearsal of what's going to go on in the evening. So basically visualization. I used this when we opened up for Cher. The process that I went through was I imagined being in front of 10,000 people, so you can imagine what that's going to look like. The mental rehearsal involves you getting down to in a calm state. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, and get into a very calm state, okay? And what you do is you run through the entire gig in your mind, and you imagine it going perfectly. Now, I did this a month before running up to that gig, so by the time we did the gig, I had already done the gig, like 30 times at least. And this is done by sports stars, and a lot of other performers use this very technique. So you'd be wise to employ mental rehearsal if you have a particular gig coming up that you think you might be nervous for. There's also another part about the preparation, and it's kind of a last-minute preparation, is to look around at the environment that you're going to be performing in. Take note of where the monitors are, take note of anything you might trip on. Just take note of the stage. What does the stage feel like because some stages could be wood, some stages could be carpet, they could have, cables running across them, all of these things. Before the show, take note of it. And the final step 3, The most important thing is to entertain them, okay? So you can't be entertaining a crowd if your focus is on yourself, okay? A lot of performers, okay, when they're just starting out, they're very conscious about, what do I sound like? What do I look like? You know, are people going to like this? Everyone's standing there with their arms folded and like, you know, I can't get any vibe off of the crowd because, you know, they're not giving me like some energy back. So the focus is very much on themselves. Anytime I've ever done that, my stage performance just falls apart. If I start thinking about me and what is going on, what they're doing for me as a crowd, that is when everything starts to fall apart, okay? Because the crowd sees that. You cannot fool a crowd, okay? So the important thing about entertaining a crowd is to entertain the crowd. It's all about them. Remember, all of the time, remember this. Whatever you do, remember, they are there to watch you. And they expect you to be performing. You can't look at a fireplace and you can't look at the fireplace and say, give me heat and then I'll give you wood. That's not the way it works, right? You have to give the fireplace wood and then light the fire and then it will give you heat, okay? That's the way crowds work. You have to give before you can get. You have to give that energy. You can't walk away and say the crowd sucked. That's why our gig sucked. No, it starts with you. So whether or not there's a crowd there or whether or not the crowd's into you, you have to perform at 100% all the time, okay? So give every gig like it's your last, and you will get that feedback from the crowd. You are there for them. Take the focus off yourself and on them, and then that way you won't be nervous and you'll give a better performance and the crowd will enjoy it a whole lot more. And not only will they enjoy it, they see you enjoying yourself and then they can't help but to enjoy it. And then it's just this circle of give. It's a give relationship, okay? Dave Grohl, for example, performs in front of massive arenas, okay? And what does he do? He comes out there and he goes, how you guys doing? Wow! Comes out screaming and he's just like talking to them like they're just, like it's just one big party. And that's how Dave brings them in, okay? And then let's look at the other side of that is Kurt Cobain. If you've ever seen performances of Nirvana, I was fortunate enough to get to see them. It was like you were entering his world and he would just get lost in the performance. You just couldn't help but get sucked in because he was so involved in it. Get lost in the music or get lost in your performance. And that will also it would attract the crowd to you because you're just so into it. You know, if you've ever seen another performer feeling the performance, okay, they're not consciously thinking about what is the crowd thinking about me? Do I look cool? Blah, blah, blah. They don't think about that at all. It's just you're lost in the performance. And that's when a crowd will just naturally just magnetized and get sucked into what you're doing. Okay, and since you stuck around to the very end, I am going to let loose on the bonus that I promised at the beginning of the video for those of you that stayed around to the end. Okay, so all of these 3 tips roll into a process to success. As I alluded to earlier in step 1 is that confidence comes from competence, and competence comes from practice, and practice comes from habits, and habits comes from commitment, and that commitment comes from a value, and your value comes back to your identity, okay? So this is all of the steps along the road to success Identity is the core. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about this, there's a link down there that will take you to a group training that I did for confidence. If you click the link down below, you can get access to that training that I did, to where I break this all down a little bit further. Okay, so now it's only going to be up there for a short time. Hurry up and click the link down below, and you can follow along to that training. Okay, so that's it for today. 3 simple tips to eliminate nervousness and get more confidence in your singing voice. So if you did like the video and you got some value from it, please hit like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And please share this with your social media so with other people can understand that it's just not that simple to get confidence. It's the 3 tips are simple. It's not easy, and it's a process. You can't just magically wave a magic wand and get confidence. You have to go through that process, and please share it out with anybody that you think might benefit from it. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate you guys so much. Thank you very much. Rock your best vocals, where your best keeps getting better. Thank you.